Our next guest, speaking of Israel, is Adam Levick, who runs the CIF Watch. That's Comment is Free. That's a watchdog site that pays attention to the UK's very virulently anti-Israel The Guardian newspaper. His written material can be found at CIFwatch.com. Adam, welcome for coming on the show. And before we get, that was a very heavy interview to follow. So I want to just start off with something really mundane because you made Aliyah and now live in Israel. I guess things are a little easier for you this year because one of the things you left behind is your beloved Philadelphia Phillies and the way they're playing, and especially in terms of their hitting. I guess being away from Philadelphia is a little easier. Any thoughts on that?
No, one of the few things I miss other than my family and friends in Philadelphia is the Philadelphia Phillies. And, coming from Philadelphia where, I think the Phillies are one of the most losing franchises in MLB history. The last 4 years, the last 3 years since I made Aliyah, it's been the best team in franchise history. And it's been kind of cruel. And it's been the best, starting rotation in team history. And it's been very hard to watch due to the time delay.
It is hard to watch this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean in the the games are short.
So, I have MLB.com, but it's not the same as going to the game. So I'm actually going to be in Philadelphia for I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to be in Philadelphia for the first time in 2 years visiting my family. So I'm going to go to watch a Cubs game on, I think, May 1st for the first time in a couple of years. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'll live and die. No matter, I'll die in Israel, I'll die in Jerusalem, but I'll still be a Phillies fan.
Yeah, well, you picked the right team to go against because the Cubs are awful too. But I don't want to talk about the Phillies because one, we have more important things to do, and the way again they're playing, not good. All good things must come to an end, I guess, unless you're the New York Yankees. But you wrote a great piece a few weeks ago called Metula Diarist, a tribute to Guardians of the Jews, and I noticed you used the term guardian in the title, which is ironic enough. Tell us a little bit about what you learned on your trip to Metula on the Israeli-Lebanese border.
Yeah, well, one of the things, I learned, I was standing there and ready for a confrontation that didn't happen. One of the things about the Global March to Jerusalem, this was this year-long planned provocation on Israel's borders, which the Islamists planned to be a 1 million-man march on Israel's borders, which didn't materialize at all. It was an epic failure. They maybe drew a couple thousand people, which, maybe a couple hundred rioters in surrounding Jerusalem. The marchers didn't materialize at all on the Lebanese border or the Syrian border. So I was there basically waiting for a riot that didn't happen at Metula on the Lebanese border. But I was stationed there with IDF soldiers, and I was talking to this one IDF soldier who spoke perfect English. And she was telling me about her grandfather, who was a Holocaust survivor. Not only was he a Holocaust survivor, but he survived 4 years in Auschwitz. Now, I don't think many out there listening, don't know about Auschwitz, know what the survival rate of Auschwitz was. But her grandfather survived 4 years of Auschwitz and made it. And her grandmother survived 4 years in France. And they reunited and made it to Israel and settled on kibbutz. So her existence was a miracle. And I just couldn't stop thinking that whole time about just the miracle of Jewish existence and how much, Israel owes to people whose heroism in the face of just unimaginable odds, we owe so much to. And I couldn't stop thinking about just, my blogging is just a tribute to their heroism. And, people ask me, isn't it hard to be an Israeli? Isn't it hard to have made Aliyah? Isn't it difficult to wake up each day and live in the Jewish state? And I say, no, it actually is relatively easy. It was hard to be, one of the Cholotzim. It was hard to have made Aliyah in the 1880s. It was hard to have made Aliyah, when you were draining swamps and you were fighting malaria and you were fighting Arab marauders, and you were fighting terrorists. My blog, I think of the people that came before me. I think of the Holocaust survivors. I think of the people that were the original pioneers who really had it hard, who really had it difficult, who really laid the groundwork so that I wake up in the morning and I have internet, I have Skype, and I can call my family in the U.S. And, you know, we live in a modern Jewish state, and we have a strong army and a thriving economy. And, you know, me and my wife live in Jerusalem that was created and founded by people that were much tougher than anybody that we know. So, you know, when I think about that IDF soldier and her grandfather who survived 4 years in Auschwitz, I think of toughness that people in our generation just don't know of.
Adam, this is Bob Guzzardi. I was just over in Israel for 2 weeks, and a colleague of mine, Barry Rubin of the Gloria Center, wrote a book, a textbook of Israel, and the emphasis was on the sense of community, which you certainly feel. And I was only there for 2 weeks, which you're reflecting and what you're talking about. I had an opportunity to learn at Eish HaTorah in Jerusalem and spend Shabbat prayers at the Kotel. It is an amazing story that doesn't get out there, the sense of community and cohesion. We just had Michael Levin's mother on and talking about that there's a sense of cohesiveness and community that it's doesn't come through in any of the news articles, but does come through in the way that you're speaking. And is this what do you account? How do you account for that sense of feeling?
You know, when I first made Aliyah, I think maybe I made Aliyah in May of 2009, and I think it was August 2009 was I guess it must have been the third yard site of Michael Levin. Is that correct? He died in 2006, correct?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so I think I found out. So I went to Har Herzl, and I went just by myself to Har Herzl, to the public yard site, Har Herzl, and I went to the public, you know, to the ceremony. And, you know, no one knew me, and I didn't know anybody. And I met the filmmaker of Hero in Heaven. What's the woman's name? I forget the woman's name who made the film.
Sue Meatless?
Sarah, yeah.
Sue Meatless, I believe.
Yeah, and I just introduced myself, and there was this community. There was this even though nobody knew me, you know, I introduced myself, and there was this just sense that we all were in the same community, and you know, we were all Jews, we were all Israelis, and we all, you know, I didn't know Michael personally, even though I was from Philadelphia. He was from the Philadelphia suburbs. And we were all on the same page. We were all in the same community. And even though I was a new Oleh, and I'd only been there for 3 months, you know, I'd seen the documentary Hero in Heaven in Philadelphia before I met Aliyah, and I connected with Michael. And as I'm talking to you now, I have a picture of Michael Levin, a postcard of him right now, and I just feel like I know him. I feel like I know his parents. And being Jewish, being Israeli, being an Oleh, and being a Zionist, you know, people that don't understand Zionism, people that don't understand being an Israeli, people that don't understand what being a Jew means, it's hard to explain. But it's a community that's deep, it's profound, it defies explanation, really.
Yeah.
But it's the greatest thing I've ever done. I mean, making Aliyah in May of 2009 was the greatest decision I've ever made. And for people that don't understand it, it's really hard to explain.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for coming on. It's obviously a big week with Yom HaAtzmaut and Yom HaZikaron, and I particularly am appreciative because it's 9:50 p.m. over there, and you are leaving for the airport to come back to the U.S. for a visit in about less than 7 hours. So get some sleep, and we appreciate your coming on.
Cool. Thanks so much, Adam.
Thank
you, Michael.